Hi there, Steve. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Melanie. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Great. Nice to see you today. It's a beautiful, warm,
It,
sunshiny day.
it is. It's a beautiful summer day.
How have you
We
been
deserve
feeling?
it.
Yeah, we do. How have you been feeling lately?
Good. I've been, checking out rather
Yeah,
regularly, very consciously. But
nice.
I have noticed lately there seems to be an increase in the stress level with people. I've been
Ah,
out, shopping occasionally and stuff like that, and I've seen people are becoming way more impatient. People seem up in arms about wearing a mask and having to. That seems to be preoccupying a lot of time. A lot of the
yeah.
people we support have been phoning us saying, I don't know what to do about that. I'm not really comfortable. So it's on everyone's mind.
Yeah, now that the city is looking to make that mandatory mask wearing bylaw starting this Saturday, there's
Yes.
a lot of focus on that. There's a lot of people who are very passionate about wearing them and that this is the right way to go. A lot of
Yeah.
people on the other side that are passionate about their, decision not to wear them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both parties actually, I think, are just, and I think it just makes people less tolerant. Their window of tolerance is decreased.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I think that the more that we are faced with all these differences of opinion, differences in values and preferences, the more likely there are going to be conflict in our
yes.
society, disagreements, and I hope that it can't get worse than that, but it can. It can lead to protests. It can lead to violence. It can lead to
Yes.
discrimination and judgment and shaming and so many more terrible things that I hope we never get to.
Yeah. I could see that possibility happening.
Yeah. Now, Steve, the other day I had a near experience myself. I took a trip to a local grocery store,
Hmm.
and I had a situation where I felt like I was on the brink of exploding at a staff member. Actually, um, there was a variety of factors. It was later on in the evening. I had stood in the refund line for about 20 minutes, and I was still not even halfway through. There was at least another 25-minute wait, so a 45-minute wait
Oh
in
dear.
total just to
Yeah.
refund or return a $20 item.
Yeah.
The store was closing in 45 minutes as well, so I kind of had to choose whether to stand in line or actually go do my shopping. And then a staff member told me what I could and could not do. And I
Oh,
found myself on the verge of wanting to just, kind of let loose.
yeah. Oh, yes.
But thankfully, I had been moving through a strategy with a person earlier that week that came to mind very quickly for me, and it saved me from that moment of releasing and then regretting it, which I've done many times, and it's normal because we do it.
Yes.
But this strategy really helped me to get through that moment in a more gracious kind of way. And I wanted to share it with you guys in case, it could be helpful for getting through some of the challenging times that we have every day, but may also be ahead of us.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea because I think we're still weathering the storm.
Yeah, I don't think it's over yet.
No, no, I don't think so either.
I think there's more to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this strategy is called STOPP, and it's an acronym spelled STOPP.
Okay.
And each letter of that acronym stands for something. The first letter, S, stands for stop. And what that means is just whatever's happening right now, when you're faced with a negative situation or a person that's upsetting you or some emotionally intense experience, just remind yourself to stop. Don't act, just pause.
Okay.
Okay? It's so like it's, you know, just pushing the pause button on your device. That's
Okay.
basically what it is. The next one, number two, is the T in stop, and it stands for take a breath. So just
Okay.
take a moment to fill your lungs up with that life-giving air and notice as it comes in and out. Now, some of us might have to take 2 breaths or 3 breaths, but at least take a breath and notice it as it comes into your body
Okay.
and
Okay.
out of your body. The third step is to then observe. So this is where I liken it to kind of being like your own scientist, investigating what's happening inside of your mind and inside of your body. It's kind of like being a third person to your own experience. So going
Okay.
outside of yourself. And then taking notice of what thoughts are you having? What feelings are coming to mind or coming to your heart? What's your body doing? So for an example, it might be, oh man, I've noticed that my heart is beating. I can almost hear it beating. I can feel, the heat in my cheeks or the sweat running down because I'm so upset and so agitated right now. The thoughts are going through my head like, how dare she? Does she think I'm stupid? Who does she think she's talking to? Even feelings might come like frustration, but underneath that frustration and anger might be humiliated or hurt or
Right.
embarrassed. Sometimes, many times, there's more vulnerable feelings underneath the anger, and really observing that, and not judging it, just observing it for what it is, just what's there, what's happening to me, or is this reminding me of a trigger or a time in my past when things went really sideways for me, like a traumatic event. I might even think to myself, well, is this helpful or is it hurtful? Is it positive or is it negative? So just kind of looking at all the sides of my thoughts, my feelings, and my sensations and what's happening for me.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the next step is the first P in stop. And it's basically pull back, put in some perspective, look at the bigger picture. So that's when I would start, and I did that night. What do I really want to happen out of this?
Okay.
What's my goal here? Do I want to just get my groceries, or do I want to prove to this staff that I know better than her? And I had to really think about, no, you know what? I just want to get my groceries. And the bigger picture can also be, what would a family member tell me, or a friend, if they were standing with me? Would they say, oh, Melanie, no big deal, just let it go, just let it go? Or would they say, yeah, you need to stand up for yourself right now. You're being discriminated against, or you're being bullied, or whatever. What would my friend say to me? The other thing I had to remember was, whatever reaction I have right now, will it matter in 6 months?
Right.
So will it matter that a staff told me what to do in 6 months' time? I'll probably won't even remember it. But if I explode, make it on the evening news, will that matter to me in 6 months? Yep, probably.
Right. So can I just ask the question,
Yeah,
Melanie,
please.
when it happened,
Yeah.
When you could feel yourself getting flushed and angered,
Yeah.
did the thought come to you that, hey, this is unusual for me to do this? Like, did you notice that you thought, hey, this is interesting when you stepped back?
Yeah. It's not unusual for me. I can react in anger when I'm being told something that I didn't know was coming.
Okay.
But what was unusual for me is I felt myself stop and say to her, okay. And then I turned around because she told me I had to leave and come back later. So I left. And while I was leaving, I was fighting, like I was going between thoughts of, and thoughts of,
Okay.
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
No big deal. You don't have to know you don't have to be right all the time. Sometimes staff, it's just her job to tell you what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Yeah, I was wondering that because I know for me, when I start to get frustrated, angry with something, I don't normally evoke that type of emotion. The first thing I think about is, wow, they're really getting upset. That's unusual. So
Ah,
you can it's almost like you at first I'm like you want to react right
yeah.
away, and then I step back and think, wow, that's interesting that I'd even consider that really significant.
Yes. So
Because
you're
normally I
already
would just brush it off.
so you're already doing this then.
Well, now that you brought it up, I'm thinking a couple of
Yeah.
circumstances where I thought, oh, you're just being impatient, slow down a bit. Slow down. So that's
Okay.
what I've been saying.
Excellent. Slow
'Cause I,
down. I love that.
yeah, I've seen two incidences where people at, shopping and in lineups, people seem to get more frustrated being in a lineup
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
right? And I sort of think the lineups are just our way of life now for our safety, right?
Yep.
So even though I don't like it, you have to tolerate, but I've noticed some people just will walk away.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
that's me. That could be part of that stepping back and thinking,
yes,
is this really a big thing for me? Like, do I really need to spend my time in this lineup? And then deciding, no.
yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, no, actually, I don't really need to go shopping.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that
Yeah,
important right now. My
yeah,
time is more important. Yeah.
yeah.
So the last step in the stop procedure is that last P, which is practice what works. And that's where
Okay,
I was reminding myself of my values. My values are not to hurt somebody else's feelings or to take my frustrations out on somebody. My value is to be peaceful and calm. I
okay,
want more of that in my life. And so I made the decision to walk away and take out, kind of work out my frustrations as I was going back to my car, putting an item in my car and coming back. That's when I used it to work out my frustrations, to think these things through
okay,
so that I was able to come back into the store calm and peaceful, letting it go and working, doing the action that was most congruent with my values, which is
okay,
peace and calm.
okay.
Yeah. And for me, that was most helpful for my situation because then I could just get my shopping done and go home.
Hmm, hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. If you learn that practice, and if you practice it, it really, I think, is sort of leads you to start thinking about, well, is this task really necessary? Is
Yes.
it worth the frustration? Do I really, really need to? And which I think is good. I think it's good for people to sort of question what they're doing, right?
Absolutely. And I think COVID's made us do that.
Yes, I
You
do
know,
too.
what's really
Yeah,
worth our time and our energy?
yeah, yeah. And I think so. And I think this whole issue of having to wear a mask really,
Mhm.
as it makes me wonder if people are actually just reacting a gut reaction that's they're being told what to do, or do they actually believe that it's a waste of time?
That's right. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to think that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, with wearing the mask and whatever, side people are on, they can work through this stop procedure doing the
Yeah.
exact same thing, like whenever they're confronted with a very emotional reaction
Mhm.
to somebody wearing one or somebody not, just stopping, taking a breath, thinking about, what's going on for me right now? Am I worried about my safety? Or am I intimidated by this person wearing or not
Mhm.
wearing a mask? Or am I feeling
Excuse
am
me.
I feeling guilty or feeling some self-criticism about my
Mm.
decision to wear or not wear a mask? What's going on for me right now? And then looking at that bigger picture. So, right now
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me, is this helpful or is this not helpful? Is this, helping me to get closer to my goals or not closer to my goals? And would yelling at the person about wearing or not wearing a mask actually be helpful right now? Well, maybe not, because maybe they'd yell back at me and share their droplets and I'd really be unsafe.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. And then, coming to that end, which is making that choice based on your values. So if I don't feel safe around somebody because they are not wearing a mask, well, rather than yelling at them and making a big scene of it, maybe I could just walk away and go
And
somewhere
remove
where I do
yourself.
feel
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah. I don't. It's a real struggle, this whole issue about the mask, because
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think we have a right ourselves to tell each other
Yeah.
what to do, right? I worry, my worry is about that, right? Is that people are going to get in those confrontations, and I don't think we do. I have control over what I do,
Hmm.
and so, I think for me, I would just walk away. I wouldn't question. I would just walk away and remove myself,
Yeah.
because I
Well,
think I recognize that actually doesn't make you feel good when you get upset, right? It's not healthy.
it's not
Period.
healthy. No. And
Or productive.
ever since this shutdown, I've always reminded people that, yeah, we need to do things for our safety, wearing masks, self
Yeah.
isolating. But if we don't take care of our mental health, Having mental stress,
Yes.
anxiety, depression will lower our immune system,
Yes.
and it'll make us vulnerable to COVID or any other virus in kind of the same way as not wearing a mask or not hand washing will.
Yeah.
So if we're that protective of our physical safety, then let's be protective of our mental health as well.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I think you can't separate the two,
Yeah, you can't.
right? I mean, if you don't feel emotionally well
Yeah.
or comfortable, then you're going to react in a way you wouldn't normally do that. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
right.
your idea about stopping and then taking a breath, I think
Mm-hmm.
taking a breath is probably the most important key.
It's a key. Yeah.
Is breathing, right? Is taking a breath. Just take a breath and think about it.
Totally. Yeah.
I like that.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
You can almost see yourself going through that motion.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what I thought we could do is we could do a mindfulness today that might help with that observe piece.
Okay.
To be observing and becoming more attentive to the thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations that could be coming through our attention as we're facing and making a decision about this difficult situation.
Okay.
Want to give that a try?
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, let's get into a comfortable place with our feet on the floor, either sitting in a chair or lying down, whatever people prefer. And either closing your eyes or keeping them open, softly focusing on something just ahead of you that's not going to move during the course of the mindfulness. Hopefully also being in a place where we can be guaranteed, a reasonable amount of privacy and a reasonable amount of quiet. It's always easier to do mindfulness that way, but not impossible to do it other ways either. And just start by breathing in and out and noticing that breath as it comes into your body and out of your body. Breathing in and noticing how the air feels as it moves through your nostrils, down your throat and into your belly. And then as you breathe out, noticing the quality of the air as it moves through your belly, into your throat, and out your nostrils. You might notice if the air feels cool or warm. Does it feel relaxed or tense? Does it feel smooth or rough? And whatever it is, no need to judge. It's your experience, and it is as it is. No need to change your breath in any way. Just allowing the breath to move through your body as it will. And you may notice that as your focus is on your breath, things may come to mind, like thoughts, feelings, or physical sensations. And whatever comes to mind is perfectly okay. It's just the mind doing what it's meant to do. But I'm going to ask you to imagine something. Imagine that in front of you is placed 3 boxes. Imagine that the first box, on the front of it is written thoughts. Imagine that the second box is titled feelings or emotions. And imagine that the third box is labeled physical sensations. And as a thought comes to mind, not judging it or pushing it away or avoiding it, rather acknowledging it, seeing it, might even label it. Ah, there's a thought. And then imagine yourself placing that thought in the box labeled thoughts. You might notice that some thoughts are a bit sticky and they won't stay in the box. And that's okay. Just keep visualizing yourself gently and patiently placing it in the box. And maybe it'll stay. If it doesn't stay, no matter what your effort is, and that's okay too. Just letting it be. Trying again later or not. Whatever works for you. In the same way, if you find any feelings or emotions coming to mind, you may want to label them. Oh, that's a feeling, or that's happiness. And again, imagining yourself capturing and gently, slowly placing that feeling into the box labeled feelings. Again, if it's hard to capture, if it moves away, floats away, disappears before you have a moment to do that, no worries. Just keep moving ahead to the next thought or the next emotion. And in the same way, if any physical sensations come to mind, like, oh, there's that ache in my back, or I feel something in my belly, imagine capturing that physical sensation and gently, softly placing it in the box called physical sensations. You might notice that as you place these thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations in the box, that there's a sense of not wanting to leave them there. So you can encourage yourself and remind yourself that it isn't to dispose of them or to get rid of them. You're placing them in the box as a way of sorting them, as a way of gaining understanding and clarity between those mental events that are called thoughts and feelings and physical sensations. It's a way of organizing, and that at any time, either in this mindfulness or later on, you may return to those boxes to revisit the thoughts and feelings and physical sensations you've had, in case any need attending to. And at any moment, returning to your breath and noticing the breath coming in and out of your body, and using that as your anchor to this moment, to this present awareness, the sense of grounding to the present. And at any time when those thoughts, feelings, or physical sensations come to mind, imagining again, grabbing hold of them and lightly, gently guiding them into the box until the thoughts and emotions and physical sensations cease to come, or until you're ready to end this mindfulness. Again, knowing and taking comfort in the fact that you can come back to this mindfulness, you can come back to these 3 boxes at any time to retrieve your thoughts, sensations, and emotions, to work on them or address them in whatever way they need to be addressed. But for right now, leaving them where they are, as you continue to focus on your breath, the anchor of your present awareness. And then as this mindfulness comes to a close, you may want to pay more attention to the sounds around you. You may want to move in whatever way is comfortable. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and returning to this part of the discussion. How are you doing, Steve?
Good. Actually, I was just thinking as you were talking, and I was visualizing taking the thoughts and the feelings and putting them in these boxes.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a good tool for people, because it feels more tangible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rather than just saying, put your feelings aside, physically do something with them. So I kind of thought about that, and I thought, yeah, that's a good idea to, when you stop and take a breath, those are the things you need to think about: sensations, feelings, and emotions, right? I think those are good.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily think people always think that way.
Yeah, categorizing them. It just feels like a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah, and it kind of puts everything in order.
Yeah.
which is a good stress reliever for a lot of people, right? They feel more comfortable doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've even done it in session where we've actually had 3 small boxes in front of us
Oh, okay.
and 3 pieces of different colored pieces of paper. And people have written down their thoughts, put them in the thought box, written down the emotions that come to mind or did come to mind during the mindfulness, put those in the box as an actual way, like a tangible, experiential way of creating that space between the thoughts, physical sensations, and feelings for people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good exercise, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really neat one.
Yeah.
So to just to provide people with a little bit more support, I will put a link to the STOPP strategy,
Okay.
the 5 steps in the STOPP strategy. I'll put a link to that on our YouTube page here, and I'll try to find a link to sorting into boxes mindfulness as well.
Okay. Okay. That would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, because it can be a lot to remember. So,
Hmm.
all
Great. That
right.
was a great session.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, thanks again for joining me again, Steve. And we're going to miss you the next couple of weeks that you're on holidays, but we are so glad you're taking another opportunity to check out.
Yes, I will.
And we hope that it's fabulous for you.
I'm sure it will be. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, you bet. Take care, Steve. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.